Well, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you here tonight to our Ash Wednesday service on a balmy Wednesday in March. I guess March is coming in like a lamb instead of a lion, which is just fine with me. We're going to have a brief service. It won't be too long today, I guess. So we'll have a little bit of discussion on the meaning of Lent in the modern world. But we're going to start off with lighting the Christ candle. Welcome to love. Called by Christ. We gather in the presence of the one who said, I am light. Thankful for all those who work today to care for others in society, and I pray for others who have to work because their job demands it. I pray that I will be able to celebrate the gift of the rest of this day. May it be so. Amen. Our theme today be a time to reflect on their spiritual journey, and the ashes can be seen or used as a mark to mark us as a people on that journey. But for us here at Visions, what better time to consider how we can, or what better time is there for us to consider how we can live out the values of our congregation? I was thinking of that the other week ago when we had our Spirit of Worship meeting, and we were trying to decide if we were going to have an Ash Wednesday service, and the idea was sort of coming to me to think that, we're adopting a new set of values for our congregation, and as any time you adopt a new set of values, there's always a time that you want to reflect on those and try to think about how you might live them out in your lives. And so one of the things I'm thinking of Lent as is a good excuse for us to begin that particular journey and consider that. Ash Wednesday historically reminds us that we are mortal people and our time on earth is limited. And historically, ashes have been used or imposed on people using the words, remember that you are made from dust, and to dust you will return. But I kind of prefer the more modern version. Remember you are part of God's creation, one with God in brokenness and in blessing. And in remembering this, hopefully we are a bit humbled, which opens us spiritually. And being open spiritually means that we can fully engage on our journey and allows us to learn new things. So the Spirit led Jesus into the desert to be tempted. Now Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and after this fast he was, as you can imagine, pretty hungry. But he was also curiously stronger, even though he began to hear voices. The voice said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." But Jesus quoted Deuteronomy. "It is written, man does not live by bread alone. Rather, he lives by the very word that comes from the mouth of the Eternal One." The point, of course, is not that Jesus couldn't have turned the stones to bread. A little later in the story of Matthew, he does just that. But Jesus doesn't work miracles out of the blue for no reason, for show or proof or spectacle. He works them in intimate, close places. He works them to meet the people's needs and to show them the way of the kingdom. Then Jesus had a vision of the holy city, Jerusalem, and Jesus was standing on the very highest point of the holy temple, and the voice said, "If you are the Son of God, jump, and then we will see if you will fulfill the scripture that says he will command his heavenly messengers concerning you, and the messengers will blow you on their hands, so that you will not crash or fall or even graze your foot on a stone." Jesus said that is not the only thing the scripture says. It also says, "Do not put the Eternal One, your God, to the test." And still the voice spoke. Jesus had a vision on the top of a very high mountain where Jesus could see all the kingdoms of the earth in all their splendor and glory and their power and their pomp. And the voice said, "If you bow down and worship me, I will give you all these kingdoms." But Jesus said, "Get away from me, I will not serve you. I will instead follow the Scripture, which tells us to worship the eternal one, your God, and serve only him." So, again, when I was thinking about the Ash Wednesday service and the meaning of Lent in the modern world, there are a lot of different interpretations of what Lent is. Some people view it as a time of penitence or a time to give something up. Other people look at it as a time to do extraordinary things in, once a year, to be a time of more giving and those sorts of things. Maybe just a quick survey. What do you guys think Lent means nowadays? Do you guys see a relevance for it in today's world? Do you guys think it has a place now that it once had, say, 20, 30, 40 years ago?
I think it surprises me sometimes when I hear people talking about giving up things for Lent. It was not a practice I ever had. But today, a friend of mine was saying her daughter was going to give up social media for Lent. Now, that daughter doesn't attend church anywhere or isn't involved at that level, but this was her, she was trying to get everything done for something, so because she's giving up social media for Lent. I think it's a great practice, but I'm thinking, isn't that unusual that she's carried that through from her Catholic roots?
Yeah.
She's giving that up for Lent.
I used to work with a fellow who used to give up drinking for Lent. Every year.
And religiously is the word.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Andrew used to say, take something up.
Yeah.
A spiritual practice, which I think is a more positive way and probably better.
Anybody else?
Our family was high Anglican, and it was always fish. You had more fish. You gave up a lot of meat during Lent. We joked about giving up black Cuban cigars or driving a Mercedes because we didn't have one. But the fact is that some people take it very seriously, but I don't think it's as meaningful as it was 45, 50 years ago.
Historically, that's where Mardi Gras comes from, or Fat Tuesday. That's
Yes.
You used up all the fat in your house on Fat Tuesday because Lent was the next day.
Yeah.
You couldn't use that.
Yankees.
Yep. Anybody else?
The United Church never made a lot of Lent,
No.
except for the last, 15 years, 20 years maybe?
20.
Seems to have been observed or recognized more in the last
Yeah.
15, 20 years. Yeah.
Like we didn't used to have any Ash Wednesday service. We do the pancake thing maybe.
Well, I guess it depends on which United Church you went to. Because,
Okay.
my first Ash Wednesday service was in United Church in Edmonton.
Okay.
And that would have been 20, 30 years ago now.
Well, that's what we're saying, though, 20.
But at Calvary Memorial, when we were cleaning up the church, there was a blackened bucket
Yeah.
that had been used for ashes. So
Yes.
it had to have been some type of Ash Wednesday.
Well,
Oh, yes, that's what we
we
had.
had them at,
Oh,
we had them
yes.
at Humphrey. We, in
Yeah.
fact, one time I can remember, we actually had it where you saved your palm crosses
Yes.
up from the neighbors here, brought them
And
in,
then
and burned them in the
outside.
lodge outside.
Yeah.
And then that was used.
And then we realized we weren't supposed to do that, so we did it up in the parking lot. We had a little earlier in the day, so it was ready in the evening.
This is the first Ash Wednesday service I've been to in the United Church.
Really? You just haven't been going.
This is my first trip. When I was a kid, I don't even remember. I always remember anybody that was doing the Lenten, like the 40 days, were Catholics, the Roman Catholics.
Yes.
Yep.
And it wasn't us. Like you'd say, "Oh, well, I'll do this for Lenten." Well, you're United Church. You're not Catholic. Like, that seems to be their.
And the cross was for it.
Yep.
Yes.
That was more.
I remember 3 girls in my classroom in school where they were Catholic, and the only reason why I knew about Lent
values that we have as a congregation is innovative spiritual growth. And on our recently approved value statements, we kind of define them in 4 ways. By journeying together in spiritual growth enriched by the wisdom of elders and the wonderings of children and youth. Growing our faith at any stage of our journey includes asking questions, challenging beliefs, expressing doubts, and sharing inspiration. And connecting our faith with today's world, rooted in the teachings of Jesus, thoughtful prayer, and insights from other wisdom traditions. And re-imaging church with informal, engaged, and joy-filled worship experiences. Well, that last statement, I don't think we've ever had a problem with in this congregation. Anytime we get together for a spirit gathering or a spirit celebration, I always think of it as a joyful experience because we always seem to have a good time. We always seem to bring a lot of joy to those things. But what about the other statements? And again, how does this tie in to Lent in today's world? How many of you practice spiritual exercises on a daily basis? 3 of us. In today's world, things seem to happen pretty fast. And all of us seem to be very, very busy. If we aren't involved in work or school, then we've taken on some project in our retirement, or perhaps we're taking children to hockey or some other activity, or for some of us, maybe we're taking our grandkids somewhere, or a nephew, or something like that. Or we're involved in an outreach project. But we always seem to be busy, and we seem to be going from this to this to this. We rarely seem to take the time to be still. Perhaps we're doing chores around the house, or I gotta catch up on that reading, or I gotta watch this television show or something. But it seems to me that too often we don't take the time to be spiritual. What do we mean by be spiritual? Well, all of our spirits need some kind of nourishment, because without it, certainly aren't able to nourish others. And one of the values that we've defined as a congregation is encouraging the spiritual growth. And so if we're going to encourage and enrich the spiritual growth of others, that definitely means that we have to look after nourishing our own spirits so that we're healthy enough to nourish others. Jesus went out into the desert for a time to be spiritual. In my thinking, that story is not him going out there and fasting because he needed to give up something. It was him to go out and engage in something that caused him to have a spiritual experience. He did something that he knew would engage and nourish his spirit. And remember that our reading says he came back, obviously, really hungry, because I would be hungry even after a day, let alone 40. Curiously, he was stronger. And the reason he was stronger was because he got his spirit nourished through that particular experience. He was able to move past the voices that distracted him from his purpose and his mission. And he's able to clearly see the direction his life should take. And I always think of that as his journey isn't about giving something up, but it's about him doing something that was needed to nourish his spirits. Now, the Greeks had a term they used to call hubris. I don't know if everybody knows the meaning of that term, but it's describes somebody who has extreme pride and lack of humility. And the Greeks always made a big thing out of hubris. They would make fun of people who had too much hubris. But I find in today's world, the Greeks would be making fun of almost all of us, because our world today has a lot of hubris in it. I mean, people think a lot of themselves and a lot of the society that has been built up over the ages. We rely on science, and when science doesn't fit what we desire, we dismiss it in favor of something that does. We seem to be losing our ability to challenge and oppose without hatred. And it's interesting, because when I was watching the Academy Awards, that was one of the presenters had got up and was talking about that. was talking about women being able to challenge and oppose without causing hatred. And that everybody could learn a lesson from that. It kind of struck me as being, you know what? That is so true. One of our key definitions for innovative spiritual growth is around our ability to ask questions and challenge our beliefs and express our doubts. And we need to be able to do that in a way that doesn't foster hatred. Jesus opposed through love. And he did this because he chose to be humble, to experience life as others in his community experienced, regardless of who they were. If they were a tax collector, a Samaritan, whomever, he connected with a broad range of people. And because he was able to be humble, he was able to do that without dismissing them. Christ's teachings center around the service to others. To relate that to the modern world, in software engineering, there's a development methodology called Agile. And it was created by the people who were writing software at the time when they realized there's got to be a better way to do things than the old way in which you were given a set of requirements. You built something that met those requirements, only to realize that's not at all what the customer really needed. The old saying, this is what I told you to build, but that's not what I need this. So, a lot of what they did was come up with a new way of working together. And they came up with a manifesto. The manifesto reads, individuals and interactions over process and tools. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And responding to change over following a plan. And note the similarities to Christianity here. In the first case, if we focus on our community and the people in it, rather than on ceremony and tradition, then aren't we placing individuals and interactions over process and tools? Jesus was always breaking with tradition. In almost all the Bible stories, he breaks with tradition in some form or another. And the reason he did that was to connect with the people who he wouldn't otherwise be able to connect with. When you think of working software over comprehensive documentation, what works in practice versus theology? Jesus seemed always to challenge the Pharisees, who lived by strict interpretations of the Jewish law. And Jesus was always engaging them to see how those laws worked in practice and not just on paper. When you think of customer collaboration, it's about working together as a community rather than the strict adherence to the law. Wasn't that Jesus' entire preaching? Forgiveness and compromise. Again, he broke with traditions in order to reach people and engage people and forgive them if they caused him harm. And finally, responding to change over following a plan is all about being open to changing and doing things differently. Overall, Jesus wanted people to be able to respond to and accept the change. Things weren't preordained. People weren't condemned because of past mistakes. I like to think of it as teaching us that God is all about what happens next. It isn't that you've made a mistake, because Lord knows we all do it. It is, what are you going to do now? So in addition to being humble and open, I think Lent helps us to invite us to ask questions. We should not presume to know, but only to learn. Agile software development has the idea of the servant leader, and this is what they call their scrum masters. He's the fellow who leads the team, but doesn't tell everyone what to do. So unlike the typical project manager that has a big plan, and you've got to follow the plan, and if you're not following the plan and delivering on time, everything's in trouble. Instead, his job is to enable the team to accomplish its goals by removing roadblocks that the team has. So it's all about the team accomplishing the task that is set before us. Very similar to what Jesus was all about. Jesus was not there to tell people what to do. He was there to be their servant. And in being their servant, he enabled them to achieve the goals and be better in life. So, we can see then that Lent is something that is very much aligned with our values as a congregation. But it is also a journey and a good time for us to help reconnect with our spirit, to nourish our spiritual selves, so that we can be about living our values and helping to enrich and serve others. We're going to have a time when you could come forward and receive the mark of the ashes. Don't feel that you have to if you don't want to. I don't want to make anybody feel on the spot or anything else like that. But if it's something that you feel you would like to do because you would like to engage in some spirituality or some intentional spiritual development during this time, please do come forward. We'll start with a blessing. All those days you felt like dust, like dirt. As if all you had to do was to turn your face toward the wind and be scattered to the four corners, or swept away by the smallest breath as insubstantial. But did you know what the Holy One can do with dust? This is the day we freely say we are scorched. This is the hour we are marked by what has made it through that burning. This is the moment we ask for the blessing that lives within the ancient ashes, that makes its home inside the soil of the sacred earth. So let us be marked not for sorrow, and let us be marked not for shame. Let us be marked not for false humility or for thinking we are less than we are, but let us be marked for claiming what God can do within the dust, within the dirt, within the stuff of which the world is made. And the stars that blaze in our bones and the galaxies that spiral inside the smudge that we bear. I invite anyone who wants to embark on this spiritual journey to come forward for the imposition of the ashes. This will mark us as a people on the journey. Ashes are a sign of brokenness made from the palms. Oil is a sign of blessing, spoken as baptism. The cross, a reminder of the journey through Lent. During that, we will sing. means to us. Be with us as we go forth into the world as a community of faith, that we may reflect your light to others we meet day to day. Grant us the wisdom and the strength to do what little we can to make this world a better place. In Jesus' name. The light of Christ is never fully extinguished. It is only ever changed. It travels with us, mysteriously part of us,